everyone. I'm Ryan Nidek here with Dwight Patel and former Governor Bob Ehrlich and his better half, Kendel Ehrlich, here to talk about their new podcast, Bottom Line, with Bob and Kendel Ehrlich.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
We are good. Thank you for having us on. We're pretty excited about this.
Very excited to be back talking politics, especially in this culture. There's so much to talk about right now.
Yeah, a lot of people remember our radio show from BAL in Baltimore. We ran for over 4 years. We had a lot of fun with that show. A lot of people listened. We talked about mostly national politics. We also talked about culture, sports, youth sports, obviously, which is back in the news these days, at least for the Ehrlich family. But mostly national politics, international politics, foreign policy, you name it. We had a ball doing it. And a lot of people have been encouraging us to come back at some point. And we thought a podcast was good timing and the right platform.
So what was the inspiration for starting the podcast? Was it the turn of events of how America post November 4th?
Well, Dwight, pretty insightful. Kendel had a senior position at DOJ for the last couple of years, and it's no secret I had interviewed with the administration for a cabinet slot in the second administration, and of course that all went south on November 3rd. So we thought, given the situation, the party, the situation with national politics, the incoming Biden administration, the war on speech, the lockdown, it was just the right time to come back, if you will. Again, not with a Maryland focus, with a national focus.
And Dwight, I think with what happened in 2020 and COVID and how people responded, particularly leaders, different states, I think that it's really time to think about leadership more than ever, maybe more than ever in our lifetime. And it's not just governors, it's not just at the top of a state, but it's county executives. They've had to make lots of decisions, school boards. And I think it's really important for people to pay attention to that. And also, we need good candidates, as you know. We need people to get involved right now. And people are upset about how things have handled in many respects. And so I'm hopeful that people will want to hear the discourse, hear some common sense, and maybe get inspired to run, since Bob has had a long history of running and being able to contribute to the community. So hopefully that'll be inspirational to folks.
Yep, that's all great. So where can people go to find the podcast?
Well, you can go on Twitter at ehrlichbottomline or at Bob_Ehrlich or at Kendel Ehrlich.
You can also subscribe to our YouTube. More information on that will be forthcoming. So again, we're also going to promote my articles in Western Journal. All of you know that you've been very kind posting those articles, in fact, in Montgomery County. I've been writing for National Journal for the last couple of years. It's a very strong right of center platform. It gives me a national voice. My articles are picked up around the country now, obviously. And we'll be talking about my weekly article during the podcast as well. We're also going to have some guests, by the way, friends of mine from Congress. And again, we want to be topical, but picking up what Kendel said, we just don't want to encourage people to run and get more active. We clearly want to do that, but we also want to encourage people not to shut up, not to be censored, right. To live the First Amendment. It's a very scary time in America, very scary time in our culture. You have an ascendant progressive movement really trying to shut down speech on the right. And we're going to be talking about that an awful lot.
I don't know if you're aware of this. I was just reading the other day, evidently Greta Thunberg and a lot of the lefts, they're actually in India trying to encourage riots. They're calling the prime minister, who's a really good friend to President Trump, a fascist. The government in control is a fascist.
In that playbook before.
We're seeing the same playbook they had here. They say it's a farce of a democracy. Are you talking about where a billion people go and vote, in person?
Well, one thing, Dwight, that it kind of it's not humorous.
That's good.
It's not
in person.
Yeah. But it's not humorous here, but This playbook is old. Now it's on steroids now. Obviously, it's a frontal scale attack on the First Amendment, clearly. But they did this. They degraded Mitt Romney. They degraded Bob Dole. They degraded. They called Mitt Romney a racist. It's been since Reagan.
Exactly.
I mean, there's nothing new here.
Yeah, as I tell people, they've had the same playbook since FDR. General Eisenhower was a racist. Richard Nixon was a racist. Reagan was I think Ford is the only one they may not have called a racist.
Around long enough, I guess, but they would have gotten around to it.
But exactly, the fear factor is really making an impact.
Yeah.
And you also have corporate America, who's involved with the cancel culture,
which is a cancer.
Yeah, say that several times fast, but that's really having an impact, and we need to really forcefully stand up.
And we're going to be talking about that, by the way, how we do it. Remember the old Doonesbury cartoons? He'd be talking about Reagan. Oh, he's going around us. He's going directly to the people. Well, President Trump really did that with Twitter.
Yep.
Now we have big tech and these big tech platforms obviously doing their thing. So we really need some original thought. People are scared of their jobs. The woke capitalism now is conducting a real fear campaign in the workplace. So we're going to be talking about strategies we can use to obviously come back in 2022 and 2024.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think one of the problems, there's a lot of people I meet every day. They will say, Dwight, I agree with you, but I'm not going to say anything publicly. They're afraid of, when you have Democrats going around saying anybody that was associated with the Trump campaign should never work again a day in their lives. What if, they said they actually set up a site where you can track anyone that's ever donated any money to Donald Trump as part of their do not hire list.
That's crazy.
Well,
crazy stuff.
You remember that started during the Obama era. These statutes, these privacy statutes of nonprofits started during the civil rights era because they wanted to protect contributors to the NAACP.
Yeah.
Right.
And now the left has turned that on its head as well. They're trying to out conservative donors. So it's a full-scale attack on speech, on right-thinking speech. Obviously, it started on campuses 30, 40 years ago. It's out of control, and we'll be talking about it on our podcast.
But it shows how fearful they are.
Yeah.
I was talking to a Democrat friend of mine. I go, it took you guys 50 years, but you've come around to President Nixon's way of dealing with rioters, And they go, how dare you? President Nixon was a fascist.
Yeah.
He just opened fire on unarmed people at Kent State. I'm like,
fascist is now the new indictment. Almost as popular as racist.
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's how they basically. It's like if you've been accused of being a racist, that's one of the things that's hardest to fight back from. It's like one of those things where
no one wants to be called that.
We have lived that in our campaigns. Every Republican running any type profile. It's just not new but because it's such a horrific notion, people tend to recoil. We can't afford to recoil now.
But it's also getting very redundant and used constantly. So I think there are some folks that, common sense middle are saying, wait a minute, the country is really not a racist place.
And we're going to be talking about this, in fact, because it's not being talked about now, but it will be talked about. The new Republican Party, a party that was able to grow African-American vote, Asian vote, big-time Hispanic vote under Donald Trump, under policy victories where Republicans could literally go into those communities and campaign on agendas, not just promises. This is what we did. And so, again, this is a new party. This is less of the Chamber of Commerce party. It's a small business NFIB party. It's not Wall Street. It's Main Street. It's a more working class oriented party. It's more blue collar, middle class party. We're excited about this.
Yeah.
This stuff you've been working on this for your entire life, Dwight. We've been working on this for a long time as well. So we're going to be talking about how this party can grow and become the dominant party in our country.
And Governor, it's much like when you got elected in 2002, you changed the entire Republican Party in Maryland. When you got elected, I remember you gave a speech at the Montgomery County Lincoln Day dinner. You said, this is not your brother's Republican Party. Forget your father's Republican Party. And you pointed out how there were so many Democrats. We had Democrats for Ehrlich. We had every, stripe, basically independents for Ehrlich, and I think we're kind of going to see that after, because after the Trump presidency, we'll just build on that.
There's a lot of Democrats who are not progressives. And
There,
by the way, including liberals who are very uncomfortable with the war on speech.
well, yeah, I tell you, this is something William Donald Schaefer would not tolerate.
No.
This kind of Democrat, or Harry Hughes, or Marvin Mandel,
Right.
Or
You know,
even Mike Miller.
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
and and I think that's something we're going to see a little bit in Annapolis this year. We've got a very liberal speaker, and we have a very liberal president of the Senate now, and
No.
it's heaven help us all, so to speak, from Maryland.
Again, now because of our past and all that, we do want to focus the podcast on national politics.
Absolutely, yeah.
Politics, because we have a national audience. So,
Yeah. And
again,
real quick, we do want to talk a little baseball because we're both Orioles fans. What's your prognosis for the Orioles this year?
they're probably going to lose 100 games again, which is fine. That's part of the plan. I mean, it really
It's
is.
a rebuilding year.
These are the folks that built the Astros.
Yeah.
You cannot measure success these days in Baltimore. You measure it in Bowie. You measure it in Aberdeen. And given the new talent in the system, obviously a lot of excitement around Rushman, obviously the first draft choice from last year, the catcher from Oregon State. There's just a lot of, for the first time in a long time, a lot of real prospects. So a lot of interest in the Orioles. We love the Orioles. We'll be there.
Yeah, I'm an Orioles fan still. I've not converted to Nationals, just because.
We've been to a lot of Orioles games over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been an Orioles fan my entire life. I just can't like the Nationals. I'm sorry. The National League team I like is the Phillies from up the road from you guys, and I really can't root for the
Nationals. A lot of old
Nationals.
Baltimore folks up there too.
Yeah.
By the way, Kendel Ehrlich, one of the few things she ever asked me during our marriage, one was to run for governor, by the way, but the other one was to go to Cal Ripken's big game, the record-breaking
21-31.
21-31.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was why you were. I think you were governor then too, right?
I was at
Yeah.
Congress.
Congressman. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I married the right girl. What can I tell you?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Orioles
we're
baseball.
Orioles fans here.
Nothing more Maryland than Orioles baseball, Natty Bow, and
And that great park.
yeah.
We have the best park anywhere.
It's
Yes,
Yep.
it is. And Camden Yards was actually the first of the modern era baseball stadiums.
Yes,
right.
it
Yeah, we
was.
set the trend, and we can thank William Donald Schaefer for that.
We can thank William Donald Schaefer, who was a visionary when it came to Camden Yards. We have also a terrific football stadium. If you go to football stadiums around the country, the access to that stadium is by far top 10. You don't have to waste an entire day going to and from a football game, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and sorry about the Ravens this year, by the way.
We'll recover.
Yeah, Lamar's a lot of fun to watch.
We have a fun
boy.
quarterback, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, we really appreciate the time tonight. You
Absolutely.
guys have been great. Ryan, thank you. Dwight, thank you. We love, obviously, you guys. We've been friends for many, many decades. We're really excited about this podcast.
Yeah.
This is going to be our way a little bit to come back on the national scene, to give people our views on not only what's happening, but what should be happening.
We love how you keep up the fight, Dwight. Thanks.